work cut out for us. I'm gonna get those drones up so we can map this area and establish our target zone.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's go get the gear.
The search that captivated millions is finally coming to an end. Finding Bigfoot has been shut down, and after years of mystery, the truth has finally been revealed, and it's far from what anyone expected. What did the team discover, and why is this the closure fans never saw coming? Stick around as we dive into the shocking answers behind the end of Finding Bigfoot. How it all began. Long before fame, Bobo was the strange kid who listened to the forest. Growing up on California's foggy coast, he spent his nights exploring dark trails and listening to sounds no one else dared to hear. As he grew older, people sought him out for things beyond normal. He became known as the man who understood what others couldn't explain. To him, these stories were clues to a mystery the world has ignored for a long time. Yet years later, he realized something unsettling. He hadn't been chasing them. They had been watching him. When Finding Bigfoot began, producers were drawn to Bobo's honesty. But even before filming started, something felt off. The crew received a strange binder labeled Safety Protocol. Never knock on trees more than 3 times. Never play recorded calls past 2:45 a.m. Never wander off alone. The first nights of filming went as planned, until one evening deep in the forest. They heard a sound unlike anything before, a violent, distorted roar that seemed to come from all directions. What emerged from the darkness wasn't a Sasquatch. Bob refused to describe it fully, only calling it something wrong, something pretending to be alive. The crew panicked. Within hours, men in dark uniforms arrived, confiscated their footage, and ordered everyone to sign secrecy agreements. The official reason for the show's end was creative differences, but Bobo insists it was because of what they found. The government took everything, even personal recordings from his equipment. What remained was silence and fear. For months afterward, Bobo suffered nightmares and sleepless nights. He felt watched, even at home. Years later, he decided to speak. He believes that footage, the proof of a creature that doesn't fit any known category, still exists somewhere, locked away. To this day, he won't say its name, only that it wasn't meant to be seen. But sometimes, silence carries more weight than words. And if what he saw that night was real, then maybe those strange rules weren't just for television, revealing a humanoid silhouette colder than the air around it. When he leaned closer, the shape split, then answered by another click, deep in the tree line. The same rhythm he'd heard before. The same communications. In the pine needles beneath his window, spirals appear again, with his own boot print perfectly centered inside. He no longer talks about Crescent Field publicly, but to a few close investigators, he confessed a terrible realization. The creatures aren't hunting. They're recording, cataloging, and tagging humans who return. He says the spirals are inventory marks, not threats, and lately, there have been 2 spirals side by side outside his window. The second one is smaller. A friend had visited the night before. Bobo believes the government isn't hiding the creatures because they can't stop them. They're hiding them because admitting their existence would prove something far worse, that parts of the wilderness don't belong to us anymore. Some trails are not meant for humans, and sometimes, even after you leave the forest, it doesn't mean the forest leaves you. Bobo's warnings had started to sound less like superstition and more like prophecy. Maybe the silence wasn't emptiness at all, but listening. And if the forest could answer, maybe it had its own way of calling things back. As Matt crouched by those strange prints, the question pressed harder than ever. What if the siren wasn't summoning them, but waking them? The siren beneath the trees. Matt knelt in the clay, staring at the footprints that curled slightly inward, a primate trait unknown in North America. Just as he began to document them, a double-tone siren echoed through the forest. The trees trembled for 5 long seconds, as if something powerful had commanded them to obey. Then silence. From beyond the fence, a deep vibration rolled through the ground. It wasn't a roar. It was layered sound, like voices humming inside his chest. Matt raised his microphone. The vibration answered the siren perfectly, like a trained reply, and there was more than one. He stayed crouched, eyes locked on the tree line. The forest didn't move naturally anymore. Shadows shifted in exact, careful patterns, as though something was choosing where to stand. No footsteps, no breathing, just quiet intelligence watching back. Through his thermal scope, Matt finally saw it. Tall, narrow head, shoulders hunched. It swayed slowly, side to side, testing the air. When it sensed his gaze, the motion stopped instantly. Then its head tilted in a slow, curious angle, the way a scientist might study a new specimen. Two more heat shapes bled into the image behind it, long-limbed, wrong in shape, their knees bending slightly backward. Matt whispered a Bigfoot whoop, a harmless test. The reply made his chest vibrate, a triple click followed by a low metallic hum. The air didn't move, yet the trees rippled as if invisible wind brushed their leaves. More clicks echoed from behind him. An answer, coordinated. Then the first horror. The shapes dropped to all fours without bending, their bodies folded like machines. Every muscle in Matt's body told him to run. The siren sounded again, shorter this time. Instantly, the creatures froze, turning their heads toward the base as if awaiting orders. Then they retreated, vanishing into the black. Matt exhaled shakily. When he looked down, new boot prints dotted the mud. Fresh, not his. They formed a perfect spiral leading deeper into the woods. Predators leave straight lines. Researchers leave spirals. Someone was cataloging. Following the pattern, Matt reached a low ridge and found something impossible. A concrete trench hidden under steel grates, cool air rising from below. He knelt and caught the smell of metal and wet fur. Beneath the grate, body-sized black bags lined the floor. The plastic bulged around shapes with claws pressing from the inside. A flashlight beam froze him in place. "Don't move!" A man in brown fatigues stepped from the shadows, eyes wide, voice shaking. "You shouldn't be here," he whispered. When the power cycles drop, they try to climb out. Matt asked what was in the bags. The man hesitated, then said quietly, "They're not Bigfoot. They're subjects, and they're adapting." The siren blared again. The man flinched hard. We triggered a sweep. 2 heat signatures changed their behavior. "Take this." He shoved a folded map into Matt's vest. "Avoid the vents. Don't speak if you hear clicking. They listen first." Then the forest shifted, something heavy moving through the trees. The man backed away, voice trembling. "If you ever wake up and see spirals around your house, don't run. Running means you're ready." Matt ran. The siren followed him through the woods, pulsing like a heartbeat. From beneath the ground came soft taps in answer. 3 perfect clicks. He didn't stop until moonlight broke through the canopy. Then he saw it, a tall, pale figure between 2 leaning pines. Smooth skin, no fur, shoulders bent like an ape trying to shrink. When it moved, its body hinged sideways, unnatural and precise. Matt raised his mic. The sound that came wasn't breathing. It was mechanical, like gears turning inside a chest. He gave one soft whoop. The creature replied in the same tone, but layered, like 3 voices perfectly out of sync. From deeper in the forest came another crash. A second figure crawled down a tree backward, joints folding sideways. Both creatures froze. A third siren pulse rolled from the base, and they turned together, retreating toward the sound like soldiers obeying command. The last thing Matt heard before the woods went silent was a whisper through his mic, his own voice saying words he never spoke. "You shouldn't speak." Then, what he saw changed everything. Footage from Cinder Point revealed a creature unlike anything he'd imagined. Steam hissed from a grate. A spine clicked into place, but calmly, calling themselves containment logistics. They explained the creatures weren't aliens, but a failed evolution branch. Surface radiation made them learn faster. One man handed Matt an envelope, warning him not to open it until the siren stopped, and not to go home that night. He said Matt wasn't supposed to record the return sequence, or as he clarified, the return surface harvest. When Matt left, he saw condensation marks on the SUV's windows, 3 vertical streaks. When the siren finally faded, he opened the envelope. Inside was one sentence: "They remember by sound. They choose by silence." Matt moved, changed phones, and deleted his accounts. But silence didn't save him. After power dips, he heard clicking through the vents. 3 taps answered by 3 more. Pets nearby refused to go outside, and spiral marks appeared on porches. His warning was clear: if you hear the double-tone siren, don't react. Once they know your sound, they never forget. But even science couldn't mute the forest's memory. Matt had tried disappearing, but the echoes followed him home. And if the woods remembered, could anyone truly outrun what they had awakened? Meanwhile, Ranai would soon discover that some things refused to stay buried. Could her father's warnings hold the key to surviving what lurks between the trees? Some things don't stay buried. Ranai grew up learning the woods from her father, noting unusual signs like deep gouges in cedar or tracks that didn't match known animals. At 16, after her father died suddenly, she turned to science, focusing on measurable data over folklore. In graduate school, she excelled in primate anatomy and vocalization studies, publishing early research with skeptical precision. She ignored her father's old journals and recordings, boxing them away. After college, her fieldwork along Oregon and Washington rivers revealed anomalies: elk reversing migration, bears abandoning rich territory, abandoned otter dens, stripped Douglas firs, and unusual vocalizations. Colleagues confirmed similar findings but refused publication, fearing ridicule. Over time, she realized the Bigfoot field was being quietly curated. Those closest to documenting the species disappeared or had records removed. When Finding Bigfoot producers approached her in 2010, she joined as the skeptic. She insisted on authentic disbelief. On set, she analyzed vocalizations, stride patterns, hair samples, and environmental signs, often finding no conventional explanation. Her notes evolved from unknown to unknown, consistent with prior reports. Several investigations captured upright, broad-shouldered figures with abnormal midfoot flexion and leg extension, yet footage was repeatedly suppressed or removed. Over the years, scientists contacted her privately with unclassified. Ranai compared the clip to her 1989 vocal recordings and noticed patterns matching chimp distress calls. Something was chasing this species. Habitat pressure had reached a critical point. She compiled the evidence into a private report and contacted wildlife offices, receiving scripted denials or silence. Ranai realized the response was policy. In a recent interview, she confirmed the species exists and is retreating south, emphasizing no threat to humans. The danger lies in whatever now occupies the vacated territory. Rangers report deep, resonant roars. Livestock shows crushing injuries inconsistent with teeth. Ranai warned, if we only look at what's running, we'll never prepare for what's pursuing it. Is to forget. The cost of Bigfoot. James Bobo faced dramatic weight loss at 17. In December 2024, 2 Oregon men froze to death in Washington forests while searching for Bigfoot. September 2025 brought the death of Dr. Jeff Meldrum, a respected academic who lent credibility to the search. Each loss underscored the physical, emotional, and professional risks of dedicating life to the pursuit. The show Finding Bigfoot became a punchline. Critics mocked the team, late-night comedians joked, and memes reduced years of research to entertainment. Ranai's credibility as a scientist was questioned, Cliff's work dismissed, sponsorships and lectures disappeared. Even the North American Bigfoot Center faced protests and zoning issues. Online forums amplified rumors, infighting and accusations of staged encounters. Conflicts within the community discouraged collaboration, leaving the cast isolated. Yet the team persevered. Cliff maintained the Oregon Museum, hosting talks, summer camps, and preserving evidence. Bobo co-hosted a podcast documenting sightings and interviewing researchers. Ranai promoted scientific outreach, balancing skepticism with curiosity. Moneymaker continued guiding paid expeditions. The cast shifted from television to education, advocacy, and community building, sustaining the search despite diminished mainstream attention. The pursuit, however, remains challenging. The death of Dr. Meldrum severed a link to academia, and technology has yet to provide proof. Mainstream audiences moved on. Younger generations see Bigfoot as meme culture, and streaming favors flashier entertainment. Environmental arguments for protecting hypothetical habitats lose urgency without evidence. Physical wear from decades in the field compounds uncertainty. The cast faces the reality that their lifelong quest may remain unresolved, their work increasingly forgotten. Do you think their haunting experiences were real or shaped by obsession? Is Bigfoot truly out there? Or have they been chasing a shadow that never existed? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.